I'm sure there's some music somewhere. Anyway, listen. Hello and welcome to Super Connectivity. I'm your host, Charlie, the Professor Esser, and with me is perhaps the new professor, perhaps the man who will lead us all into the brave new future that is the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Phil, fill me in, Perich.
That's the one. Fill me in, Perich. And boy, did he fill me in this week with what may be the most groundbreaking fan theory I have ever heard. Because, it's like, and I was working on my own. I got my own here. I got my own humble offering for the Avengers 3 fan theory and why they can't tell you what Avengers 4 is because it's going to spoil everything. But I think Phil's may be better. So, Phil, do you want to go first? Do you want me to give mine, and then you'll completely trounce it?
I don't care if you want to go first. Go ahead.
Okay. So let me go first. Let me put out my paltry suggestion. Although I will say this for my paltry suggestion, there is some interesting points that have recently been put out there that maybe was going to, So, what I was first thinking is, what if the reason they don't want to talk about Avengers 4's title, but that what will spoil Avengers 4 isn't that it'll spoil Avengers 4, it'll spoil Ant-Man and Wasp.
Ooh.
What if Avengers 4 is into the microverse? And bear with me, because remember there was a lot of and this ties into Hawkeye and everything else. So there was a lot of talk about there's no Ant-Man on the poster, there's no Hawkeye on the poster. Where's Ant-Man? Where's Hawkeye? Maybe Hawkeye's in the microverse with Ant-Man and the Wasp, and that's what we're going to be getting. And maybe so here's this crazy theory. Okay, maybe Ant-Man and the Wasp takes place in between the scenes of Avengers 3. Essentially, we're going to see all this stuff in Avengers 3. We're going to get these hints at Ant-Man and Wasp because they just revealed that Wasp is in. They released some concept art for Road to Infinity War, and it has the Wasp in it. So the Wasp is in there. The Wasp is part of the whole story, but we haven't seen Ant-Man and we haven't seen Hawkeye, but we did see there was something revealed today where someone says they think they found Ant-Man on the poster. And what it is if you zoom in on the Infinity Gauntlet, behind one stone could be a figure. Could just be a weird shadow, but it could be it could be Ant-Man basically wresting a stone out from Thanos' own grip.
What if, instead of the microverse, do you know which stone he was behind?
No idea. I don't know what any of the stones are. I don't know what the color code's all weird now. But
I was gonna say if he was like standing on the time stone, what if he goes back in time to try to stop Thanos somehow, or
anything,
or at least warn the Avengers he's coming.
Well, let me give you this idea. What if you move between the molecules, which we've seen them do? What if you move between the molecules in an Infinity Stone?
Ooh.
What if he's going inside the Infinity Stone to do something? All
right, this will never happen, probably. But what if he uses the time stone, goes back in time, tries to correct the whole thing, comes back to the present, like, oh yeah, we're all ready, comes back. The present is messed up because he comes back, he's in the heart of New York, he looks up. That's not Stark Tower sitting there. It's a big tower with a 4 on it.
Oh, well, we all want this.
I know. That's what I said. It probably won't happen.
Because like I said, they don't have the rights yet. This still got so much legal nonsense it has to go through.
You don't have to put anybody in the movie yet. All you have to do at the end of Ant-Man, even an end credit scene, just have a building with a 4 on it.
I know. Well, first off, that'd be Four Freedoms Plaza, which is not the Baxter Building.
Wow.
You know how much nerd rage you get. How can they not have the Baxter Building go right to Forest Freedom Plaza?
Yeah, but if it's just a plain building, people, the general audience is gonna be like, "What's that building?"
Yeah. Well, I think that if they actually made a Baxter Building that looked like the comics, everyone would know what it was.
Unless you do like a hybrid of Four Freedoms in the Baxter Building.
Yeah. Well, I think actually in the second Baxter Building after Forest Freedom got destroyed, they actually did have a 4 on that Baxter Building. Mm. That was the one that was built out in space by the actual guy, Mr. Baxter, that the Baxter Building was named for, who apparently has this whole Victoria space station behind the moon. Because, man, you can put anything behind that moon. No one looks there.
There's space stations behind the moon. There's counter Earths behind the sun.
Yeah, exactly, man. It's like no one's looking. Just go behind the moon. It's fine. No one cares. Yeah. So I mean, that's this. But this is this idea. So my idea is that basically the reason we're not seeing Ant-Man and Hawkeye is because Hawkeye, whatever his adventure is going to be central to the Ant-Man Wasp story that we're going to get next. And that this Ant-Man Wasp story is going to feature Hawkeye dramatically. And that basically, I'm thinking Hawkeye gets sent to get these Pym particles.
Whether Hawkeye works in your theory or not, I think he's going to be Ronin. He's going to be wearing that suit, that ninja suit.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, as you said, they have fun with the suits in these things. Like Cap's suit is clearly with the black star meant to invoke the captain's uniform.
Yes.
It's very, very much meant to be the captain, and
I wish we could get the stripes, but I mean, I guess close enough. Close enough.
Yeah, well, it's well, he's got the stripes here. Yeah, mm-hmm. I mean, you don't get the full chest stripes. That would be a little, the problem with these guys is that unless it's Tony Stark, it's always hard to explain the costumes.
Yeah.
Like I said, I mean, even Spider-Man's costume is like when you first see him, he's got that Scarlet Spider costume, which is really much more thrown together kind of thing. And then as soon as Tony Stark gets involved, there's sewing involved and art and design and I do find it interesting that Tony Stark is doing so much more with this metallic mesh armor, similar to like what they have in Wakanda with the Black Panther's armor.
Mm.
That Tony Stark is doing much more in that, even pre-Wakanda, which is one of these things that people have pointed out that basically the biggest threat to Wakanda isn't people finding Wakanda, it's that Tony Stark is going to open the gates of science without Wakanda, and Wakanda will get left behind. There's actually a nice parallel to, China at the turn of, the 1800s, where it was this technological powerhouse that just rested on its laurels. And, the British stole their tech, came in, colonized them. It never happened.
Now that you're saying this about Tony Stark making Peter Parker's Spider-Man suit and, Shuri making Black Panther's new suit, got me thinking maybe that's why Hawkeye gets a costume change. Maybe as one of those two or both of them give him a new suit. They're like, oh, yeah. Oh, Shuri's like, wait, he just has a bow and arrow? We could do better than that.
Yeah. You know what, though? Those bow and arrows, they do a lot.
Maybe he still has like regular weaponry, but maybe she gives him like one of those Black Panther, like his absorbing suits, so he can take a couple hits at least.
Well, yeah, but this is a man who shot an arrow at Loki, and the arrow. Exactly. It's like it totally tricked the god of trickery. Think about that for a moment. That here you have Hawkeye. He's up there with his bow and freaking arrow as the aliens are invading. Here's a literal god coming down the pike, and Hawkeye's like, "I got this," and he's like, "Ha ha ha! I caught your arrow." Boom! Shrapnel in the face, Loki.
Yeah. And then this movie, he goes all Ronin, and he's gonna be like all Batman. He's gonna have like explosive like batarangs or whatever.
I want him to keep the arrows, man. I like that he shoots sticks at things. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he can use those too, but I was never a fan of the Ronin change because I wasn't a fan of like when Hawkeye became Goliath. Oh, there is your freaking connection, your super connection between Ant-Man and Wasp. Where's Hawkeye? He's getting Pym particles because he's going to become Goliath.
You unlocked it!
Oh. I unlocked it with my super brain, my super connecting brain. He's going to become Goliath. And there you go. And you can even have that as that's his whole thing. He needs to get these Pym particles because he's sitting there after all that he's gone through, after, Age of Ultron, after, and he's saying there, I'm shooting arrows at robots, He's like, I need to up my game.
Maybe,
and he knows.
Maybe Pym or somebody's like, hey, I'm working on, being able to enlarge a person, without them passing out in 5 minutes, but they need like a clean body, one that hasn't taken Pym particles already.
Or no, see, I think he's just going to steal it. I think they say he's on his own side quest. I think, you know what? Here's your thing. You see the initial Black Order thing. You basically see Hawkeye feeling totally outclassed. That's why he puts on the Ronin costume. He's got to hide. He's got to run. He can't save his friends. Then he knows about the Pym particles because he's got his old SHIELD dossiers on Pym. And maybe that's why they're running in. What if Hawkeye is the villain of Ant-Man and Wasp?
Ooh.
He's trying to get the Pym particles. He says, I want to save them.
Or what if the Pym particles work in Infinity War? This ties into my theory. Should I go to my theory?
Okay. You know what? I guess we're ready for it. Okay. Because, like I said, so this was my brilliant theory. Mm-hmm. Super connections at all, going to tie it in, going to get Goliath. It was like, ooh, how can you top that? Drink my milkshake, Phil.
Well, please. I'm thinking the Goliath thing might tie into my theory now, but no, we've been theorizing. Who is Peter Dinklage? You were saying, is he the champion? I was saying, was he Pip the Troll? Is this going to get us to Adam Warlock? But then I was thinking, I saw an image from like the original Infinity Gauntlet miniseries, and I'm thinking Peter Dinklage, red hair, who was hanging out with Mephisto in that miniseries, or Thanos, Mephisto.
Yes. And that is so brilliant. And let me give you a few more steps in this, okay? Because now in the Infinity Gauntlet series, Mephisto is an ally of Thanos. This actually goes back to the original Secret Wars 2, where it's made a point that that Death has no allies. This is when the Beyonder goes to fight Death, but he has lovers. And among his lovers, among her lovers or his lovers, because hey, it was the 90s, man. Actually the 80s, but yeah. And was Mephisto, because of course, if you are a being that collects souls, you kind of need death, because without death, you have no power. So Mephisto is the lover of death as well. But of course, Mephisto is also the ultimate trickster, the ultimate god of lies. And so follow this because here's what I'm thinking. Now, the name Pip can also refer to a demon.
Mm.
In fact, in a very famous Twilight Zone, one of my favorites, called "It's a Nice Place to Visit," the sort of guardian demon in that, for the criminal who thinks he's in heaven, but is actually in hell the whole time, is named Pip. And so you have this whole thing with Thanos on his own evil quest to do whatever. No one really knows Thanos yet. We all assume, because we've all read the comic book, Thanos is a lover of death. Thanos wants death. Death. Thanos will destroy half the universe. I don't know how close to the comics are going to be with this stuff, because I do think that one of the things the MCU likes to do is to take the comic and turn it just enough to confuse you. So when you have this little guy with red hair showing up and says, "Hey, I'm Pip."
Yeah, exactly.
And hear this story. I used to be a noble prince, but then after a falling out with my family, I was cast out as a mere troll to them. And you think, oh, that is actually the origin of Pip the Troll, is that he was this prince of this highborn family. Then he goes off because of his love of drink and debauch, turns into a troll, and his family rejects him. Also, kind of the story of Paradise Lost, of the noble prince cast out by his family. And so he can say the truth to them, and everyone's in the audience going, oh, that's Pip the Troll. Oh, okay,
all the fanboys, yeah, he'll be like, I'm Pip, and then like towards the end, it's someone's gonna say Pip the Troll, and he's gonna say, wait, who said I was a troll? And then you're gonna get the big CGI reveal, this big CGI demon with Peter Dinklage's voice, and just like,
I'm going to give you one better. I get the feeling, and not for nothing, this is the other thing that why I think your theory is better, is it totally makes sense for Doctor Strange to be a part of it now.
Yes.
And here's the thing: you have this thing where Pip is like, I can help you. You just have to give me something. And however he does it, he gets the Avengers' souls. He gets, what's that missing stone?
The Soul Stone.
And he gets the Soul Stone, which maybe that's the one that Hank Pym is hiding behind. And then it's revealed, now I have you, heroes. Now there's nothing that can stop my entrance into the universe. Because what have I said? Thanos dies in the first 20 minutes. There's a bigger threat. And that's what they don't want to reveal, is that there's a bigger threat. That threat is Mephisto. And that is why the fourth installment, what did I say it will be called?
Wait, what did you say?
Avengers Inferno.
Oh, yes.
And there is where, if you want to do your your X-Men crossover, that's the place for it, my friend.
Oh my God, Mephisto takes the souls of the original Avengers, so technically all the original Avengers die. So yeah, Avengers Inferno, all the new guys like Black Panther and everyone else has to go free their souls from hell.
Yeah, exactly. And who's left? You've got Ant-Man, this Goliath that you're going to learn about in the Ant-Man Wasp film.
And unless the Ant-Man and the Wasp, the whole plot is like they need like mystical artifacts from around the world, so that movie's following Ant-Man, like get like since him and the Wasp shrink, they can get into tight spaces and get all.
You need a thief.
Yeah, he's a thief. Yes. But no, I'm thinking, what if Hawkeye's Pym particles work better as Goliath? Because, I guess it wouldn't make sense. The way we're going, I guess it wouldn't make sense for him to make a deal with Mephisto. But
yeah, you never know. You never know what's going to happen. Unless, of course, he's making the deal with Pip the Troll.
Oh!
It's like Pip the Troll saying, I've got things that could help you, old friend. Because and you think about like the kind of role that Peter Dinklage plays so well. And Peter Dinklage hasn't really done a real mustache-twirling villain yet. I mean, as Trask, he was a villain, certainly. But I think that was a much smaller role, no pun intended. And I mean, like, in the way your personality is. Like, how evil he was much more nuanced. And Peter Dinklage, the man can chew some scenery.
Mm-hmm.
And the man this man could play a devil so well that you'll be saying Loki, and if nothing else, it gives you what everybody wants, which is that redemption arc for Loki and this opportunity for a threat bigger than Loki. And like I said, I get the feeling that this is what it's going to be. It's going to be, so we're going to have this fighting of Thanos. So it's maybe not the first 20 minutes, but they are going to defeat Thanos with the help of Pip the Troll until the reveal, and that's when everything just falls apart.
Oh, in the 90s, when Thor destroyed Loki's body, Mephisto grabbed Loki's soul. Maybe he grabs Loki's soul too.
Well, you know what? If Loki dies at the start of this, perhaps, because they say, does Loki survive the original? Because we see him hand over the Tesseract, or do something with the Tesseract. Assuming that it's not just all another bait and switch, which Loki is known for. Because remember, it's not actually the Tesseract that has the Infinity Stone. The Tesseract is the object that holds and allows you to manipulate the Infinity Stone. It's not the Infinity Stone itself. So
I wonder if Loki leaves that as a failsafe so the others can enter hell.
Anything's possible. He is a god of tricks and magic. And, there's so many things that could happen here. And this is very exciting. This to me, this is the story of the week. This idea that that Peter Dinklage is going to be playing Mephisto. In fact, at this point, I have to say I will be sorely disappointed if Peter Dinklage is not Mephisto.
It has to be something like that because they still haven't said who he is. They still haven't said the title of the next movie, and they're just like, oh, the end of this thing.
Yeah, I know. Well, you watch when this comes out. See if we get a cease and desist order from Disney.
From Thanos, like we did this week. Don't spoil the movie.
Yeah, well, we're not spoiling it. We're giving a fan theory. And if our fan theory is correct, it's only going to make everybody happy.
Mm-hmm.
But I've not seen this fan theory yet. I don't think this is on anybody's radar, especially that Peter Dinklage would be. I mean, everyone's like, what if Mephisto shows up? Mephisto. Here's the problem with introducing Mephisto. Introducing Mephisto is insanely hard, especially if you're not going to introduce him in a Doctor Strange movie. Mephisto is, to quote Gwenpool, the literal devil that exists in this universe. Why are superheroes not down here all the time beating him up? And if you're going to introduce him, you've got to do it in such a left-handed, no pun intended, back channel way that when that reveal comes, it is crazy as a soup sandwich. For those who were doing a lot of Twilight Zone episodes, if anyone's ever seen Crazy as a Soup Sandwich or read the short story or read the comic book adaptation, it's great because you get that exact same kind of last panel reveal of, oh, I'm sorry, you thought I was X? I was Y the whole time.
I think we got this. So let's just announce it now. Right now, it is Friday, April 6th, 2018. As I'm saying this, it's 7:22 p.m. So
live on YouTube.
We were the first ones to say this. Yes.
Yeah, because I think you're 100% right. And again, like you said.
So don't steal it, Rob Southgate.
That red hair picture. And everyone's like, oh, he's going to be Pip the Troll. He's going to be Pip the Troll. And then no one ever mentions it again. And then right now you have Peter Dinklage in the poster, but no one says who he's playing, and everyone's like, oh, well, he must be Pip the Troll. He's a short person, and a short person should play Pip the Troll. Fine in theory, my friends, but anyone who knows the kind of roles Peter Dinklage plays, he plays short people because he is one, but he wants to play roles that aren't written for short people. Yeah.
Did you ever imagine that we live in a world where not only would we get Boulevard Trask and Mephisto in a movie, but they could possibly be made by the same actor?
This is this I'll say is like the wonderful thing about having the MCU separated is that you get these great redemption arcs and these pulling back in of people, and that is a wonderful thing. And
the MCU's redeemed 2 Human Torches. Now we're going to go for Trask.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Human Torches, and this tied into what it is, but okay, so I'm driving home. I had to go pick up Indian food because my wife wanted Indian tonight, and Friday night's date night. So I go. I'm away to get the Indian food. There's this little theater on Ridge Road. I don't know if it's called, it might still be called Freddie Rogers Boulevard there, or Frankie Rogers Boulevard. But wherever it is as you're going towards North Arlington from Harrison, you pass this little theater. What's playing right now at that theater, along with Minions? Fantastic Four.
The last one?
Apparently. I was like, really? Someone still wants to see that?
Yeah.
Even for $1? Yeah.
Maybe they got it for good price, like free. I don't know. Who knows?
Maybe, but you know what? This actually ties into, so this is 2 other things, but one thing I want to talk about, if we have time. Do we have time, Phil? We have a little time.
Yeah.
Right now, Zack Snyder is on the I Know You Are, But What Am I tour, where he's explaining why Batman v Superman is actually a great film. You're just stupid.
I'm going after him tomorrow on Capes.
I know. Well, you know, can I? Because I was at work, so I couldn't like give my comment.
I'm like planning a rant, but yeah, share your thoughts. But if you're listening to this if you're listening to this on YouTube or the podcast, stay tuned for tomorrow because I'm rip into him tomorrow on Capes and Lunatics.
Yeah. So the line I was going to say is, well, you know, Phil, he probably never read the comics, so he probably doesn't know Batman has another Robin aside from Dick Grayson.
What? There was a second Robin? What?
Yeah, well, you know, when you're Zack Snyder. So anyway, so here's my point on this, and I'm going to tie it back to Fantastic Four and get to our final thoughts. But so Zack Snyder, on his whole big, I know you're, but what am I rant, he says, why would Batman make a kryptonite spear? Says this is why, and he puts up this image of Jesus being stabbed, you know, with the Spear of Destiny, which, hey, I'll give you, the Spear of Destiny is an item in the DC universe, so good for that someone mentioned that to you. But Zack Snyder, right now what you're doing is you're saying why you would stab Superman with a spear, because you're making an image. That's not why Batman, with all this technology and all these plans and things and kryptonite gas, is going to rely on a handheld delivery spear system rather than just say, even if he says, I need the spear, putting it in a spear gun, you know?
I think he is just trying to anger the fandom as a whole, because Lilith was even agreeing with me. It just seems that way.
Yeah, well,
he's
nobody
poking the bear.
To be honest with you, he is DC's Josh Trank.
I actually had that thought today. Yes,
on a very real level, he knows his career in this work is over. Which is, it's sad in the sense that his film was not Josh Trank bad. It wasn't. It was nowhere near as bad as Josh Trank's Fantastic Four. And
he tried. Why did you say that name?
He got well. You know what? Here's the problem with Zack Snyder, and this is, you know, Jerry O'Connell. We all love Jerry O'Connell. We will never guess his secret identity, but we do love the man. Can't wait for him to appear on Big Bang Theory. I am so excited about that, especially if Joss Whedon comes in that and they stand by each other.
You mean Will Wheaton?
Oh yeah. What did I say?
Joss Whedon. That would be cool too.
Too many Whedons and anyway, but Joss Whedon should come into that too.
Showed him.
But anyway, oh goodness. But here's my point. It's at the wedding, and there is a good reason why Will Wheaton would be at that. Makes sense. But and it'd be so easy to say, well, you know, Will, why don't you just stand by him?
Exactly.
Stand by him? Yes, stand by him. Yes, okay. So I guess I'll stand by you, you know, okay. As they walk down the aisle. Anyway, because there won't be as many groomsmen as brides, but they'll make it work, and it'll be this big nerd joke. We're going to love it. But anyway, so for those who don't know, Jerry O'Connell went to NYU Film School after My Secret Identity. You know, he went back to film school.
Mm-hmm.
And every so often he would be doing his acting work. He'd be doing, I don't know if he's actually directed any major films, even minor films, but because he does a lot of TV work, but he would get in his contract, have me direct an episode. And when he would direct an episode, it would be the most film schooly episode you ever saw, and they're beautiful episodes, because they're like taking great angles and cameras and, you know, doing wonderful things with image and symbology. But because it's a TV show, those Jerry O'Connell episodes are always just in a stark difference, visually and thematically, from everything else in the series. So basically, it's like, okay, regular series, Jerry O'Connell episode, regular series. And that's where Zack Snyder is, where he's very much in his head. He's trying to make a film instead of just making a movie. He's trying to make a film. And if you try to make a film, you're probably not going to make a good film. Because if he's sitting there saying you have to stab him with a spear because Jesus was stabbed with a spear, you're doing it in reverse. You're creating an image and then trying to hammer the story into it instead of having the story grow organically, and suddenly you have the image you want. And to give you an example, you could have very easily done this by having just like this kryptonite staff or whatever that's going to be fired out of a pneumatic rifle that misses, and then later, he has to hit it like a spear would, like they do with Doomsday in it. Like they actually accomplish that scene, but you don't do it. You don't make it a spear. You don't make it into Chekhov's spear at the start. You have it be. You have to go, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that would be a spear. That I just thought that was a big stick. The best way to do it is you actually have like a kryptonite laser that has the kryptonite core, and then after the laser gets destroyed, you have to take the core, and that's how you do it. There are ways you do these things to create a story that actually has that visual look, but isn't like, see what I did there? You see?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. He I don't think Zack Snyder's ever read a DC comic. He doesn't understand the DC universe. I mean, when Batman wore that suit and fought Superman, it was like in The Dark Knight Returns, which was like after a lifetime of like ideological differences. It wasn't after the first 5 minutes of meeting the guy. Lex Luthor isn't a 12-year-old. And he's like, oh, yeah, that's Dick Grayson's suit. We killed off Dick Grayson. Can you imagine, Charlie, if Zack Snyder made like a Fantastic Four movie and he like killed off Ben Grimm in like the first 10 or 15 minutes? He's like, oh, yeah, Ben Grimm's not important to the story.
Yeah. Well, I could imagine him doing it. But you know what? That goes into this idea of waste about when you have non-fans making these works, you are essentially wasting the potential. And this was something that struck me recently. Okay. So in the last Fantastic Four update, they decided to make Doom a hacker. Okay, whatever. But you know what? No. You're putting your face like this. Here's how that would have been brilliant. Okay? If his field of study was AI, and you suddenly have this thing where he's using his AIs to create these bots, these Doom bots, if you will, that are impersonating him around the internet. So every time someone thinks they're talking to him, it's actually just one of his Doom bots. And you just have this introduced that he's got these little things so that every time, so he hasn't taken a test in years. And no, I just, because I can do the test online, I'll just have a Doom bot take them. I just have one of my Doom bots go in there, and because the Doom bot can come in and it can have the it can just do the little CGI face, like, hello, I'm Victor Von Doom, and I'm here to take my test. I'm going to do this remotely because I'm techie and I'm a nerd, and and we honor your nerdery here. And you have these AIs be his whole thing. And then suddenly you've got this thing where he's, creating holograms, and then that's how you do your Doctor Doom. Brilliantly updating it into this strange idea, because of course, remember, in the 60s that he's all into robots is cool. But nowadays, the fact that you could just completely impersonate someone online, that's how you make a Doctor Doom an interesting modern character.
You hit the nail right on the head. I think that's the problem this last movie had, and even the last two Fantastic Four movies. Doom wasn't there. Doom did not get powers the same way the Fantastic Four did in the same exact accident. Doom gives himself powers by his tech, by his study of magic and the dark arts.
And specifically, that is the raison d'etre of Doctor Doom.
Yes.
If Doctor Doom got his powers in the accident, why is he jealous of everyone else with powers?
Exactly.
Exactly. The whole reason of Doom is he is jealous because, and let me give you so they're doing this Doom film theoretically over at Fox. I doubt it'll ever get made, but maybe focusing on Doom is great. But think about this from Doctor Doom's perspective. Son of Gypsies, told that he was cheated out of the crown of Latveria, because we know that this is my headcanon, and it is true. He has been told his whole life, you were cheated out of that crown, you were cheated out of power, you were cheated out of everything. He goes into this school where, he's been recruited by the military, so he already knows they're there to exploit him. But he's just trying to get ahead. He's working like a dog every day, trying to get ahead. and then all of a sudden, you have his roommate is this rich kid, Reed Richards.
No, jeez.
Because people don't know this all the time, but Reed Richards comes from money. Nathaniel Richards, he was patenting those. He was selling those patents to Tony Stark for a lot of money.
He's probably
Tony Stark,
betting some rich women too. Because remember Nathaniel Richards couldn't keep his pants on for 2 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's how we get a little Von Doom and Latveria. That's as smart as Reed Richards. Hey, it was World War II. People didn't know what was going to happen. That's all I'm saying.
Could have been a poor gypsy woman.
Nathaniel Richards behind enemy nice and seduces this young lady who then has to come up with a story and says, "Oh, it was the Baron. Me and the Baron we were hitting it off." Because how come we never met him? Because he's the Baron. That's who I'm having an affair with, the Baron. And then she gets in a family way. Nathaniel, he's off, says, I got to go to another time zone. And gets trapped in parallel universes, and nonsense and wackiness ensues. But that is the whole of the Doctor Doom story to me. And within this whole concept, I think that is how you tell a good Doctor Doom story, because Doctor Doom has to be mad about people being given things in many ways, much like Killmonger is in Black Panther, and why he's such a great villain. Because what they gave to Killmonger is, I should have been a Prince of Wakanda. I should have been living life large. I should have been, doing whatever I'm doing, but I should have been a Wakandan. And that was robbed from me by your father and your uncle. And now I'm going to get it back. And now Dr. Doom, Victor Von Doom, he meets Reed Richards, and it's like, you've never had to work a day in your life, Reed. I'm sitting there, freaking building robots out of tin cans and barbed wire in my homeland. You've got like a fully stocked lab, and you're going to tell me my math is wrong? The heck with you, Reed Richards. The heck with you. Now, the Fantastic Four is back in the news because a Hollywood person has said he wants to be Reed Richards, and that is apparently all you have to do nowadays is say, I want to be Reed Richards, and they say, sure, why not?
John Krasinski, yeah, I haven't read these comic books of yours, but I would love to tackle this role. Well, I heard a thing today. You know why he wants to be Reed Richards?
Why?
I guess his wife Emily Blunt, it may be in talk. I don't know where these talks are taking place, but supposedly she might be the front runner for Sue Richards or Sue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, here's going to tell you about Krasinski. So I did do some research. Apparently, the guy just did this Quiet Place film. He just directed it, and apparently the guy is actually quite the auteur. He's actually quite a smart guy. And I think here's what I'm going to say: you don't have to be a comic book fan to act in a comic book movie. He's not writing it. He's not directing it. He just wants to play the role. You get me to write and direct this film. I can put this Krasinski cat in there. It's going to be a good film. I promise you. And here's what I'm going to say. It could be good if you follow what makes Fantastic Four good. Now, personally, I actually didn't get to do my joke here, because my joke was going to be, I want to state right now that I want to play Fabian Stankiewicz in Avengers 4. Because apparently that's all you have to do to get a part in these movies, is say, I'd like to play that role and vaguely look like the character. Look up Fabian Stankiewicz. I vaguely look like him. Don't look at it after he becomes a meth head. Look at him when he first shows up in Avengers. With his nicely coiffed hair and his jolly face.
Okay, let's do that then. Okay, I want to be Quasar in the MCU.
Do you really look like Quasar though, Phil?
He's a blonde guy.
You need to be more than that. You need to physically be, like I said, Krasinski, for what you're gonna do, he does look like he could look like a Reed Richards. Especially he's got the beard right now, and you look at you look like a beard. When you're the bearded Reed Richards, because that looks like a bearded Reed Richards.
He looks like rubber.
Yeah, a little bit.
I thought that was Ben Affleck.
No, Ben Affleck
last week.
looks like a man weighted down by superhero movies that he didn't write.
And notches.
Don't blame that poor man for the fact that he gets cast in these roles, because he does look like a superhero. And then have other people make bad films with him.
You called him reverse Chris Pratt.
Well, he is reverse Chris Pratt because instead of being buff for these films, he gets fatter. He's trying to do a Raging Bull thing, and it doesn't work well for him, but he's trying. What I'm going to say is, I can't say that Ben Affleck is a bad Batman, because I've never seen him be Batman in a good film. I've never been able to say, oh, that film was great, except for Ben Affleck. I can't say that Ben Affleck was a bad Daredevil, because I can't say that film was great, except for Ben Affleck. Invariably, what I see of him is, like, in relatively bad films, people say, well, Ben Affleck wasn't that bad. People mostly say about him in Daredevil is like, everyone has hate for Daredevil, the movie, but if they say, well, was Ben Affleck so horrible as Daredevil? Is there anything you can point to where you can say he was bad as Daredevil? Not really.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're like a fantastic actor in like a bad movie, can't you maybe even bump that movie up a notch or two in the eyes of the audience, though?
I mean, theoretically, possibly, but if it's you can only control your role. Mm-hmm. He can only be Daredevil. He can only be Batman. And I think as Batman, for the role he was given, for what was written on the paper, for all the scenes he had to play, I think he did it well. Mm-hmm. I believed him as a tired, grizzled Batman who was once a Hollywood Playboy type character, who has become bitter and sad and angry about the world, and kind of giving him a Dr. Doom arc where he's mad at Superman for having all these powers. That why was I not given powers? Why was I only given billions of dollars as my,
and living in a
well for Batman,
and living in a rich man's double wide on his property there.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, honestly, that's the thing is, Batman doesn't work as well for that kind of I'm jealous of everybody arc. Mm-hmm. But that's that these are inherent problems with Batman. There's not a lot you can do with Batman.
Well, I mean, I guess we'll see what if this Batman, his solo Batman movie ever gets made. Maybe we'll see. Although now I'm hearing rumors that just like the Joker movie, this Batman movie might not even be in the DCEU.
Yeah,
and now they're saying, oh, maybe the Flash movie isn't going to be called Flashpoint. They're going back and forth because they've already been through like 3 directors, and a couple writers.
Because
it's like
because DC has the flop sweats. They have the flop sweats, and they've never had a flop, but they just know they could be doing better. And they don't. And here's the thing: is no one knows if the problem is that they're hiring the wrong people, or the studio is getting too involved. And I'm going to say, stop, you're both right. That they're hiring the wrong people, and the studio isn't letting these people make the movies they want to make. So it's like, I think Zack Snyder was going to make a pretty poor Batman and Superman film from the start. I think that there wasn't really a way that a person who's coming from his mindset on it, which is kind of an anti-comic book mindset, is going to make... So here's my thing. Zack Snyder was coming at this as, this is the story of gods. I'm going to tell the story of gods from a biblical perspective, instead of saying, I'm going to tell a story of modern gods as told in these pulp mythos that are devoured by the hoi polloi, because that's what the original gods were. They were pulp heroes told around campfires for the hoi polloi as they got back from a long day of hunting and gathering, which is hard work, especially that gathering part, man. Oh. The hunting's relatively easy, but the gathering, man, that'll just break your back.
I mean, I think it's just that even Lilith admitted the Marvel's killing up with the MCU movies, and it's just like, I think it seems like, they have a plan. They concentrate on story. DCEU, right? So far, it just seems like they're like, we need superhero movies.
Yeah, and because you know why? And I'll tell you what it is. Because
they throw a bunch of characters into a fan and sees what sticks to the wall.
Well, unfortunately, they're not throwing it into a fan. That's the problem. So, for example, if they actually ever hired Kevin Smith or God help us all, Quentin Tarantino. And I tell you, Quentin Tarantino, that's the guy to do your Dark Knight film.
Yeah.
You want a guy that understands, and I disagree with virtually every comic book idea that Quentin Tarantino has ever spewed out.
Mm-hmm.
But he loves the genre. He loves the work. Nicolas Cage loves the work. I bet you Nicolas Cage could write and direct a good superhero film because he loves the origin stories. Now, that doesn't mean he was good at Ghost Rider. He probably shouldn't act in these films unless he's playing some grizzled old guy in it, you know? He should play Silvermane in the next Spider-Man film. Oh, he could just say, put a little old man makeup on him. You don't need to do a lot. Put a little old man makeup on, get him that stark white hair, have him as Silvermane. Doing the crazy eyes. Silverman Freedy, man, the Manfredi crime boss. That is your villain for the next Spider-Man film. Right there. Silvermane and the Enforcers.
Instead of the Declaration of Independence, he's going to steal some stone tablets.
Yeah, why not, man? Well, he's going to have people do that for him. Mm-hmm. That's the good point about being a top-notch mobster. So, aside from the fact that the Punisher can't get near you, because the Punisher is bad at his job. Finished watching the Punisher recently. Man, that guy's bad at his job. The guy really is bad at his job. There's a scene in there where you see it, and the Punisher. Okay, spoiler. The whole first part of this film, it's moving towards him wanting to kill this guy. Wants to kill this guy. Mm-hmm. He knows the guy's at a CIA safe house. He gets his shot all lined up, ready to shoot the guy. Never thinks that maybe at a CIA safe house they have bullet-resistant glass.
Mm-hmm.
Takes his shot. The glass cracks. The guy's like, what? And then the Punisher, rather than taking another shot, goes, oh, now what do I do? That's bullet-resistant glass. Yeah, yes, it is bullet-resistant glass. You nearly got through it with your high-powered, high-caliber rifle. Take another shot.
Charlie, I think we can all admit, I mean...
Punisher's bad at his job.
Well, yeah, I mean, he might be some form of a military tactician, but besides that, he's not the deepest thinker.
But this isn't even deep thought. It's just like, just pretend you're in the NYPD and just keep pulling that trigger.
But yeah, that's his business. He should know that, yeah.
Exactly. It's like, this is, you should be able to take more than one shot. Because it's like it's not like...
Well, it would have been more realistic. It would have been more realistic too. Once that glass cracked, if the guy would have dove under cover, fearing that Frank Castle was going to take another shot.
He's just like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
Which side of the glass? It's not on my side or your side. It was a poorly shot scene. It was a poorly done scene. And not for nothing, he knows the guy is there. Yeah, the alarms are on and people are going to come after him. You're the Punisher. This is literally what you do. Infiltration, extraction, murder. This was what the whole first half of the story was about. How good you are at these things.
All right, we got way off track. All right. So,
yeah, okay.
All right, let's boil it down. As a big Fantastic Four fan, you would be willing to give John Krasinski a shot as Reed Richards?
Sure. I mean, I never get mad at the actors.
Not until after.
Well, no, because I've yet to see an actor really ruin a part.
Mm-hmm.
Usually the part is ruined by the writer or the director. Usually both. The actor is usually a very capable professional actor who comes in, reads the script as given to them. Sometimes does good, sometimes does bad. The only time I would really say that maybe an actor wasn't very good in the role was the guy who played Bullseye in that Daredevil movie with Ben Affleck. Just because I never bought Bullseye is Irish.
Oh, Colin Farrell. Yeah, but again, was that written for him? That was written for him, though, so.
Yeah, but, okay, Colin Farrell, you can't do a freaking American accent for one film?
Yeah, but what if they tell him that? What if they didn't want him to do an American accent?
Well, and then that's what sucks about it. So, yeah, but that's the thing. It's like, that's not, and it's not like the character couldn't be Irish, but, I think he actually did an okay Bullseye in the fact that he's kind of crazy. But I think as when anyone wants to play a crazy villain, they usually go too far and go Joker. They go full Joker.
Never go full Joker.
Never go full Joker
unless you're playing the Joker.
No, actually, you'll see that most of the people who do a good Joker usually don't go do a full Joker.
True.
Think of Heath Ledger, think of Jack Nicholson,
yeah.
and then think of the last guy.
Yeah.
That guy went full Joker. What's his name?
What is that dude?
Yeah. Not the guy playing Jerome. Jerome knows subtlety. But yes, the guy who plays Joker in Suicide Squad, it's not Heath Ledger, it's got another name. Yeah, he went full Joker and it just did not work for him because you can't go full Joker.
I know the dude's name. Jared Leto.
Jared Leto. There we go. I know it was we're using our made-up names. You know,
my so-called name.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that Nick Blood guy. Is that the character? Is that you as an actor? Just have a normal human name and do a job. Okay.
All right. One last thing before we leave. Luke Cage season 2. We got our first look. Heroes for Hire.
Heroes for Hire. There are heroes here, and they may well be for hire. And I do because I do think that, I think that can be good for Luke Cage and Iron Fist to really have each other to lean on. I think they can complement each other very well. I think that, I think you can start making. I think if you have Danny Rand there, you can start making Luke Cage less cool. I think that's important because I don't think Luke Cage should really be that cool of a person. I do think Luke Cage should, at many times, be kind of his own nerdy worst enemy.
Do you think it'll ground the character and maybe make him not as whiny?
Which one?
Luke Cage will ground Danny Rand so he's not so like whiny and supposedly this ninja master who's in control of his emotions who's like
always crying. Yeah. Well, and hopefully the writers will work on that too, and hopefully Iron Fist is going to give something to Danny Rand to Iron Fist is going to give something to Luke Cage too.
Yes, yeah.
Not the least of which is just coming to embrace what it means to defend things, because of course Danny Rand, he is the sworn defender of Kunlun. Great job on that, Danny.
I think he'll get Luke to loosen up a little bit, and maybe Luke will help Danny become a better hero.
Yeah. We'll see if Luke and Jessica.
Now that there's no Scott Buck attached.
Yes. Well, thank goodness for that. Thank goodness for small favors. Jessica Jones ends well too. Yeah, I don't know how far you got, but
I watched episode 11 today, and the music video didn't do it, but just Kilgrave got Cray Cray stuck in my head.
Oh yeah.
The song. Oh.
Hey, I want you, Cray Cray.
That was, spoilers. That was a clever thing where they can bring back David Tennant like every season for at least an episode.
Oh yeah. Well, of course. Not for nothing. They really created a great character with David Tennant as the Purple Man, and she'll
look better in tights than you do.
Well, I think we'll all agree that if anyone who's ever read Hellcat as a comic book, we can all agree that. Trish certainly pulls off the tights, and when you see the end of the series, it's good, and it's there's Mary Sue is doing a whole thing where they're very mad at Trish Walker for being human and an addict and all the things that are.
I'm mad at her too, but she's an addict. Addicts.
I know. Honestly,
addicts anger people.
Well, her portrayal of the character is spot on and perfect, and no aspect of the character, her choices or her origins, ever make me question it. Like everything she says and does, it all makes perfect sense.
Chasing a story, chasing superpowers, it's another form of addiction. Like Jessica told Malcolm, about him sleeping with a ton of women. She's like, exactly. It's like it's basically the same thing as sticking a needle in your arm.
Exactly. Just sticking something else in someone else. It's it's an addiction. But this is what I'm saying. This is Netflix is killing it. I certainly hope we're going to continue to get Netflix, even though Disney and Netflix, or maybe are not as chummy as they were earlier.
I think we're going to get these shows. It's just a question of where, either on the Disney thing or Netflix. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Netflix has their aspects of it. Like I said, I don't know what's going to happen with all of it, but I will tell you this: I don't think these separate streaming services are going to work. I really don't.
Their oversaturation is going to hit at some point. People are going to have to choose because.
Well, yeah.
Who can pay for all these? If
more to the point, who actually wants to?
And if someone tries to pay for all of them, then the cable and the dish services are going to be like, hey, wait a minute, you're killing our business.
Well, that's what I got with DirecTV now, and honestly, I have not been happier since I just cut that hub. The only thing that really sucks is that they don't want to hook up the intercom to one of our cell phones. So that's like the only thing that's really sucky right now. Mm-hmm. But beyond that, everything else has been great. I wish we'd gotten a bigger hub because it does have a little trouble getting into the far bedroom, at least when the doors close. I think when the doors are open, everything flows freely, but the more things you put in its way, it makes it harder to get through. But anyway, long story short, I'm not coming over to CBS. I'm sorry, CBS On Demand. I'm not coming over. You have Big Bang Theory, which I love. I'm still not going to come over for it. At least not the 5th season. You know what? And
you could get that with the rabbit ears or digital tuner or whatever you call it.
Well, yeah, and I can on that sometimes. I just have to get home on time because I don't have DVR anymore. That's where my life is kind of sucky right now. But more to the point, and that was another thing. I was reading an article like the next season of Discovery is going to be more Trekkie, and it's like
not like as much as of a war. I heard.
Well, all I have to say is, if you can use that phrase, our next time it won't be so Trekkie, you have missed the whole point of your series.
And are you admitting how maybe the first season wasn't the greatest?
Well, more to the point is you're basically making it clear that you went to a product that you didn't want to make the product. You were a non-fan making a Zack Snyder film, and
you just wanted to slap the Star Trek name on it.
Exactly. And if you're not a fan, if you're not into why this is popular, you're not going to be able to harness that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. Whoever makes the next Fantastic Four film has to say, I love the Fantastic Four. And I want to tell a Fantastic Four story because I've been reading Fantastic Four my whole life.
Yeah.
Find me on Facebook, Disney or Fox or whoever currently owns the rights. Mr. Krasinski, contact me. I will make you the most famous Reed Richards ever, and your wife, Emily Blunt. Everyone will think, whatever your roles are, they're going to say, those guys are great as these superheroes.
I say cut it there.
Works for me.
Hire this man.
Okay. Yes. Phil, how can people find you how can they get I'm going to make you my agent. How can they send the offers, which will certainly come rolling in now? How can I get in touch with you so that you can go through them and let me know who's going to give me the money?
If you want to talk to my client, Charlie Esser, you can email me, nightwingpdp@gmail.com. On Twitter, I am @nightwingpdp. And the voicemail for all the capes and lunatic stuff, 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-capes. This kid is going places. Contact us.
And of course, if you want to cut out the middleman, go factory direct to me. You can always write me an old-fashioned email way the way our moms and pops once did at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, @gmail.com. And of course, find me on the Twitters. I live tweet Krypton, which we didn't talk about, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and other things as I feel the opportunity to. Charlie Esser, that's CharlieEssser. Look for the 2 E's in the middle for quality. Thank you for super connecting with us. Ladies and gentlemen, please super connect with us again. There's that outro music. I knew it was somewhere.
Trying to cut out the middleman. I'm still getting my 10%.
Oh, that's fine, man. I'm just saying, you see, when they come to me, I say, well, because they want to talk to me directly, I say, great, I love your ideas. Talk to my agent. Reach out to Phil. My agent/manager, Phil Perich. I get you 20%. 10% for the agent, 10% for the manager. That's how you do it. That's how you play that Hollywood game, Phil.
I'm gonna make this Charlie Esther as big as what's the name of that girl from Stranger Things?
Fabian Stankiewicz.
Millie Bobby Brown.
Millie
Charlie
Bobby
Esther
Brown.
is gonna be as big as Millie Bobby Brown. Mark my words.